Lauren Kochian, you are the president of the most.
Yeah.
A female badass leader in this town.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm not going to sugarcoat that. A mom, a friend, a daughter. And I am so grateful to have you on the Truthfully Tracy podcast today.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah. I can't wait to see where this goes. I really can't. I've been watching you and cheering you on and admiring you for so many years as a nonprofit leader. You are, I don't know if you see what the rest of the world sees and what this community sees.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Back at you too, by the way.
Appreciate that.
I do appreciate that very much.
Yeah. I think sometimes we get so lost in the grind of it all that we don't realize really what we're putting out there and who you're inspiring. And so I want to start there.
Okay.
But I'm hoping today that we get to see a bunch of different sides of you, you know? And so
the disco ball of Lauren Kochian.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
I don't have that many sides, actually.
Okay, that's a lot of sides. We might not have time for all that today, but a few of them.
Yeah.
So let's start easy. All right, we'll start easy. The most, you've been there for almost 10 years.
Yep.
What attracted you to that?
You know what? I was recruited to work there. I actually, at the time that I was recruited to work there, I worked at Arc of Onondaga. So really largely my background is nonprofit.
Okay.
In marketing and in fundraising. And what happens when you're good at fundraising, which you find out by trial and error, you find out by doing. I don't think anybody goes out into the world like, I want to do fundraising, right?
I don't think anybody does.
If you do, there's okay.
We should dig into that,
yeah,
right?
Exactly, right? Maybe you're a Rockefeller or something.
Right.
So I was recruited to work there. In part because at that time, like a decade ago, a lot of us were still new to doing social media for nonprofits and using it as a marketing tool. And I was doing that a lot at ARC. And so, it was interesting. I knew the most needed some help. And so I took the leap and questioned that leap when I did, because the most needed a lot of help. And I was like, did I make a mistake in leaving a job that I loved? Because the most really was in a sort of a down in the nonprofit life cycle. It was in the sort of the downturn on all sides of the business. Admissions were down, fundraising was down. And so, but in a way that became an opportunity too. Mm-hmm. So we really got a chance to sort of look at everything from a different lens. And actually, I often say that what the most needed was a mom. Mm-hmm. At the time, I was, I think, one, if not the only mom, one of the only moms. They needed a mom in charge. They needed somebody who, because moms are the audience too, right? Mm-hmm. So not only are moms the audience, but sometimes you just need a mom, like to clean stuff up. And so that's what we did. And literally cleaned stuff up, got more housekeeping staff, fixed up the broken exhibits, improved the fundraisers, and did all those kinds of things, but with the mom lens and knowing who the audience was. And that really helped. It really helped having that perspective, both my professional mom experience, but also just being the demographic.
Right.
And so we did a lot. We did a lot in those first couple of years. And then the other thing is a couple of years into it, was during the pandemic. So I had this sort of 5-year plan that I was worried, like, okay, great, Lauren, your 5-year plan, and you're sort of still new here, is not going to happen. But we were actually able to sort of continue that 5-year plan anyway, because we were just one of the fortunate places that our donations weren't affected, our sponsorships weren't affected. We could still kind of operate business as usual, even though our doors were closed for a little while.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how did you pivot? What did that look like?
We did a lot of virtual education, and parents were looking for it and teachers were looking for it. So we moved virtually, and we really met a need that other places couldn't fulfill. So we were creating, and God bless my education staff, creating new activities daily and putting things out there for families to do. We did so a lot of those, remember those, you probably did some of these activities with your kids, whether it was the nature journaling or making I think they made slime with borax, and we were doing those things every day. And then when schools reopened, it's so hard to even remember these kinds of things, but school reopened and it was kids were every other day, some schools. So when your kid was supposed to be at home, the most was opened, and we were the hybrid learning place for a lot of kids. So we were really able to make the most of a bad situation, and really put our mission in action in a way that we hadn't done before, and in a way that benefited the community. And that's how we got through it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was genius. So was that part of your staff coming up with that, you coming up with that, that idea of pivoting and bringing, a need? And I was teaching during that time. So I remember very clearly the lack of information that was out there, the lack of activities for children, everyone was seeking. So was that something you guys came up with as a team?
Absolutely. We were, I retained a lot of my leadership team. So even though people were furloughed, we all still met virtually all the time. And I think we just kind of knew we need to do something. We're science education. There's opportunities out there. And it all just kind of sort of organically happened. Brainstorming, what are other museums doing? What are libraries doing? I was a parent at the time. I'm these are the kinds of things people want and need. And it just worked. It worked well in our favor and then that momentum continued. Obviously, when we were reopened, we really were seen as a resource and a STEM education institution. And then on top of that, it was this notion in our community that I hope stays around forever, which is experiences over materials, right? Let's spend time together as opposed to, buying toys. And so that really benefited us greatly, this sort of different mindset after the pandemic.
Yeah. Your leadership style is very infectious and very empowering. And so it's very clear how you lead your team at the most. And so how did you mold into that type of leadership? Was it something that's always been in you? Is it sort of that mom, gene that comes out? How would you describe that?
I think it's probably both. I think that my particular leadership style, or anybody's, is sort of largely innate, right? Your personality is what it is. I am generally an empathic person and an empathic leader. Being a mom certainly helps that, because I understand that your career is just a part of your life and it's not your whole life. So a place like the Most is super family friendly, right, and flexible. But I'm also obviously very passionate about it. And so everybody that works there is generally very passionate about it too. But I also have learned a lot about leadership by doing. I've made a lot of mistakes along the way. In fact, my predecessor, in giving me some advice, said, the hardest part of managing and being a CEO is managing the people. And I was like, no. I thought to myself, no, she's just not really as much of a people person. She's introverted and I'm extroverted, and I was like, oh God, you're such an idiot. Like, it was 110% true. Because we're all people and we bring all the stuff, right? You can't leave who you are at home.
Mm-mm.
And I thought just me being me would have been enough, and it's not. So I've made mistakes. There's things I've had to work on. I've done leadership coaching, and still I'm learning as I go, because every experience is different. The most in 2025 is different than the most 2 years ago, and the people are different. And even if the people are the same staff, their life is different. So I do think a lot of it won't change because I am who I am, but recognizing that leadership is sort of just always having to be flexible and adapt is important.
Absolutely. It's fluid. It's
That's the word.
Yeah. No, I like your flexibility word. And I think that's exactly what it is, that one day is not going to look like the next, and that it's always about molding and changing and learning about yourself in the process and challenging yourself, and it doesn't stop.
Yeah. And that for me is the hardest part, is remembering that, that I am, the leader, the role model. Like, I need to model what I, expect.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's hard because I want to, and I do, swear and get mad and, bring my stuff to the office. And so it's hard, but, I set leadership goals for myself from time to time. I need to do better at this thing or that thing, specifically as it relates to, being a leader for my team.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's human. I think we all bring our stuff, right? As best as we try not, right?
Yeah. And I've had some of my worst stuff and I've talked to you about this often. I've been through some of my worst stuff in my personal life when my career has been at its best.
Which is so polar. It's so crazy to think about that.
It is.
Like, how did you make sense of that at the time? Or were you just in survival, Lauren? Like,
I think I was in survival mode. And I don't know if I was just lucky or good at it, but, work was almost a distraction. I was definitely able to compartmentalize work a lot, and just focus on the work when I was at work most of the time. And there were some times where that was really difficult. On those days, though, sometimes I just let myself have what they call like the mental health day, or have a little bit of a breakdown, or leave early, or whatever that was. But most of the time work was a way to forget that and dive into my work and enjoy my work. I'm lucky to love my job, of course, but to love my work and to be in it. And then to leave work and sort of just kind of, what I used to do in the thick of some of the trauma of my personal life was just shut everything out, right?
Yeah.
Until it's time to start everything all over again. Go home, make dinner, clean the kitchen, shut everything out, and then start it all over again the next day. Yeah. I think that was the survival part.
That's protection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like you knew you had to go do that during the day, and at night you go into into protection mode.
Yep.
Like, I'm going to hibernate. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to comfort myself so I can get up and do it again tomorrow.
Yeah. And because I didn't know what else to do.
Right. Right. Nor have any of us been in that situation right before, where don't think there's a rule book for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's go back. So this was when, as a community, we hear microns coming in. Now, did you know this ahead of time? Like, did you know this was going to impact the most and impact you? And like, did you have that information?
It all happened really fast.
Okay.
So no, not really. So what happened was, often the most will get a call from the county executive's office or Center State CEO, where a company is looking to potentially relocate to Central New York area, and they want to tour a place like the most. It's often to show the great quality of life, because of course, if they're bringing a lot of employees, you want your employees to want to live here. You want to see that there's something to do after 5 o'clock and on weekends. And we're fortunate that they think of the most when they think of quality of life. And so, but this one was weird because we signed NDAs and we've never done that before. So I'm like, who's this company that we can't know about? Okay. And so they came and did a tour, and then, they came the next day and did a tour, which I also thought was weird. And the tour, it felt very different than like a couple of guys, showing up, and like, this was like a group of people, and it just had a different vibe.
I can only imagine.
And they were like, but it was great. It was different, but it was great. Like, we clicked, and they loved not only the exhibits, but we really aligned with all of our impact programs. So those are our programs for inclusion, access. So things like sensory friendly time for kids with autism. We have an EBT cardholder admission program. So anybody, SNAP, WIC, anybody with, who's receiving public assistance gets in for $1 a child, $2 an adult. They loved that too. So they really appreciated all the other programming we provide for kids, girls in manufacturing programs, you name it. We have probably a dozen of those types of things. I'm like, okay, whoever they are, they like get us. Like, this is great. They love us. Like, maybe they're going to sponsor an exhibit. Like, I had no clue.
Right. You couldn't fathom this.
Maybe they'll give us like $5,000. And so this was in September. By like October, they announced it. The next thing I know, there's like Micron people everywhere. We're talking to them about grants. They did some events with us. Like, they did an educators night. And then they're like, we want to give you, and there's one other nonprofit, ended up being the Y. They want to give us a $500,000 grant to continue all this great work that we're doing, which ended up being a Micron exhibit, which is actually where most of the $500,000 went, was to creating this beautiful exhibit. And then the rest of it went to all those programs. It was a whirlwind because we did it all in 9 months too.
It's insane.
It was insane. It was insane, but amazing. And that's what led to President Biden visiting the next year. And it still is amazing. I mean, we still have a great partnership with them, but that particular year was spectacular because here we are, since I had become president, working so hard to fix exhibits, all the things we just talked about, right? Getting the most back to what it should be for our community and for our kids.
Yes.
A real STEM education center, a fun place to visit. And then Micron comes in and they're like, yeah, you are great. Oh. And then puts a spotlight on us. People were coming to, our attendance numbers have been great, in part because they think Micron put a spotlight on us that we couldn't pay for.
Gosh, no.
We couldn't buy advertising like what they did for us. So it was huge. It was quite the ride that year with them. It was awesome.
Wow. Yeah. And then President Biden shows up.
Yeah.
It's like, it didn't seem to, I know, it didn't seem to stop.
Right.
It was like the next thing.
Yeah.
And from the community standpoint, we're just watching, right? And seeing you like shine, Lauren, like seeing you shine.
And seeing the most, that's how I felt.
The most.
I felt like I was able to
shine.
It's like when your kids, I felt like it was like another child, right? That I got to like, look at my kids doing this awesome stuff, right? And that's what it felt like.
Wow. And then behind the scenes, life.
Yeah, I was going through, I was just going through a lot personally. Just a really difficult breakup. And we were both sort of just suffering through it. It was toxic and it was bad. And I was taking it just terribly. And it was just really hard to get through to the point where I was like, you kind of feel like, am I always going to feel this way?
It's going to end.
Yeah. Am I always going to feel this? You don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I even went to therapy for a little while. It's even difficult for me to talk about it right now because it's like this really emotional experience. Because I didn't think I was ever going to be my old self again.
Yeah.
And I'm not. Right?
Wow, that just gave me goosebumps because you are not. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think as painful
Right.
as that experience was for you,
Mm-hmm.
it unlayered parts of Lauren
Right.
that are now able to show up today.
Right.
And I think there are many of us that can relate to that darkness,
Right.
that place that you were in, and you were not that far removed from it. Like I think that it, in a way, it's like when you're in it, the fear of never getting out of it is legit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when is this going to stop? When am I going to feel like myself, like Lauren, like life, like,
Right.
but the truth is you are never going to be that Lauren again.
Yep. No, I won't be. I feel like myself again, but I know I'm never going to be that Lauren. And that's not a bad thing.
No.
I am changed. And it is what it is. But how is changed Lauren now gonna be better, do better? And I think that's also probably, where I guess if you're looking for something good, right? That's where the growth lies. Instead of blaming or woe is me or I'm a victim, I could have, it's like, okay, I'm finally feeling better. I'm finally feeling normal. What can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? How can I not repeat my mistakes? How can I take responsibility for myself?
Which is huge.
And so hard. And
Oh,
I don't know the answers, but I know I need to do that. And something like this is a good first step. Like I like people, being vulnerable is so hard, and it's really hard for me.
Tell me what that brings up. What does vulnerability bring up in you?
I just like, as silly as it sounds, I like people to think that I'm like,
you got your shit together?
I'm this really strong career woman. I mean, my staff call me Knuckles. Like, I'm a strong career woman and I'm a great mom, right?
Yes.
And I'm still those things.
And you're still those things.
But I can also be vulnerable, and I can admit that there's this really messy, I've had this messy life, and there's messy parts of me. And I don't like to, like, the fact that I'm talking to you right now, like, I don't like to admit that.
This is massive growth for you. You realize that.
Right.
Like, this is not just dipping your toe in. You're like jumping in.
I just jumped in.
You just jumped in.
I just jumped in, like admitting that I saw a therapist. Oh my gosh, right? So, but it's admitting too, like, in therapy, I learned things about, I have an anxiety disorder. Yeah. And as silly as it sounds, that I didn't recognize it, I have an eating disorder. I didn't know that.
Wow.
Which you would think, how does somebody not know that? I just thought everybody had weird.
You just normalized it.
Yeah, everybody has weird stuff about food. No, not everybody does. Okay, I didn't know that. I mean, and that's what I mean by taking this and how do I now be this new Lauren, right?
Yeah.
This Lauren that knows about herself and accepts the messy, doesn't hide the mess. Well, maybe sometimes hides the messy, but how do I sort of learn from this so I grow from it. So my biggest thing is I don't want to find myself in that place ever, ever, ever again.
Wow.
I mean, I could cry just thinking about it. There were nights where I'd go to sleep and I was like, if I wake up feeling like this again, you know what I mean? Like
I do.
It's just so heavy and so dark, and you just
I do. And I think a lot of people do.
Right.
You know, and I like to describe it like you talking about the anxiety and the eating disorder, like when you've only known what it feels like to be in yourself, right? Like you don't know what it's supposed to feel like. Like what does it feel like to not have that, right? When you've had that for so long. So when somebody finally names it, like I remember when I was told I have PTSD, like you have PTSD. And I was like, oh, like, and I think it explains something, right? It gives you validation around what you're feeling and what you're experiencing. And then you have the ability to do something about it then, right? Like,
exactly.
Doesn't define you. It doesn't like, it just means like, oh, okay. Like that makes sense. That's a piece of the puzzle.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so, or like, it's like a tool, like
yes.
Right. So that you can, do what you want with it almost, right?
Right. You totally ignore that. Or
Yep.
you can do something with that information.
Yep.
And I don't think until you sought somebody else out for that information, like that was a huge step, like talking to somebody and
not hiding it.
And like not hiding it.
Pulling back that curtain is
terrifying.
Yes. Yeah. And I think too, that's why, it's hard for me to admit to, like, there's this part of me for a while that's also been like, yes, I am good at my job. I am a career woman, and I am a good mom. And then there's this part of me for a while, that's been telling myself, you're just bad at relationships. Like you're good at everything else though. So it's fine. You just suck at this. And, that was my more recent cop out for this whole thing. Right. You can't be good at everything. You know what I mean? But then I was like, you know what? I can't do that. You can't do that either. Like, that's just another, like, that's just your new, like coping. Right. So, I think, it's better than, allowing yourself to, let's say, be in a toxic relationship. Just, I'm going to be alone because I'm bad at this.
Right.
But I think that is sort of like, the next step towards, okay, what do I really need to do to have a partner, to have like the kind of relationship that I want, that everybody wants.
Right.
I'm not there yet.
It's a great question.
Right.
I think when we deem like that was normal to you for a long time, that cycle, that pattern that you were in, right? And I think a lot of men and women get stuck in that, including myself. Like you don't know there's anything wrong until something wakes you up. And it's usually a relationship that rips you open. It like, and I can relate to that, where finally it was like, oh, like I see what I'm doing. I see my role in this now.
Yes.
I see where my wounding is coming out. You take responsibility for your part in it.
Yep.
But usually it takes something to wake you up.
Yep. Absolutely had to take responsibility for my role in, and it took me a while to do that, right? It's easier to say you're the problem or it's your fault because for a while that's really what I thought. But recognizing that it's on me if I want things to be different for myself, that I am I am messy. I am vulnerable, but I also do, I have these things I struggle with mental health, but ultimately too, I do want all of it.
Yeah.
Right. And I want something more for myself, and,
all the structures you've named though, the image of being really strong and secure, and like that, the image, and then the structure, the eating disorder, and they're all creating safety. And vulnerability is like the other spectrum of safety. It is exposed. It is like putting yourself out there. Like that is not safe for a lot of people. Right. So like for you to go from this to now, like dipping your toe down into that, like that's huge.
Yeah. I don't think I'm dipping my toe anymore. Right.
No, you're in this.
Right.
You're in this.
Yep. No, I actually at one point was saying, when talking about sort of my issues around food and eating, and my sort of inability to deal with it, I was saying to the therapist I was seeing at the time, I was like, but and I thought she was going to think I was crazy. I was like, I feel like it's my best friend.
Oh,
right? Isn't
I've
that
said that so many times?
really right? But that's that safety thing that you talked about. Like it's
never
control.
going anywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's right there in my back pocket all the time.
Control was a big thing for me too in that relationship and in all of these things. So, but all of that to say, right? Like that's all that baggage that I was bringing. He had all this baggage he was bringing, which we all do, right? We all do. I think in our case, just maybe more than other people, like maybe we just had the full luggage set, both of us.
Yep.
But obviously that's not something I want to do anymore.
No.
And that's what I'm working on.
So you got there, you got to this place of darkness, which you were in for a little bit. And while you were there, it was survival. It was basically just doing what you needed to get through the days, and then taking care of yourself at night, however that looked. And how did you start to crawl out of that?
I'm not even entirely sure. I think some of it was just the passage of time. I really do. I also think, I actually think a lot of it had to do with my kids. They're sort of continuing rites of passage, and seeing them, seeing how, before I knew it, they were going to be out of the house. And I was deliberately trying to enjoy all the moments with them. I mean, I love being a mom. I've always loved being a mom and loved every minute with them, but really consciously trying to spend a lot of time with them, enjoy their games, going out to, dinner with them, doing all these things. And I loved, and that sort of just, I think that just helped, right? It just snowballed into feeling more and more okay every day.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I needed to just like stay in my room all the time. I will say too, though, I think some of it was just willing myself,
Okay.
just kind of like, just get out of your room,
Yeah. I remember making a rule. I had a 48-hour rule that, like, if I was working from home for 2 days, like, I had to leave my house. Like, I had to I had to force myself to be around people. Because you can, like, that isolation is dangerous, like, especially when you're in that place.
Yep.
And I think being a mom, you still had to show up every day. Like, you had, like, that was a non-negotiable. So in a way, I can see how that became like a life raft.
Yep.
Where you're like, I still got to be mom.
Yep. Yeah. So I was never like completely off the radar, right? It was still work. It was still dinner. So I was still doing like the things.
Yes.
But whenever possible, it was like, actually, I remember what my kids saying, like, they were like making fun of me because I would even like same sweats, same robe, same show on, like, even watch the same show over and over, read the same books. Like they would laugh, you know, obviously not necessarily knowing all the backstory, but just like that was what it was. Like that was also my sort of like safety and my hibernation. And
do you know why we do that? Why we watch, rewatch, or reread things? Because we know what the ending is.
Yeah.
So there's safety
yeah,
in predictable, like knowing.
yeah,
And there's this comfort in that. It's like a form of comfort for people.
No,
so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes a lot of sense.
But so, yeah, I think for me too, it was easier because I was never completely detached. I was still, it's not like, you know what I mean? I was still involved in everything day to day. But whenever I could, like I had to, especially those first, let's say 6 months or so, I really had to have that.
Yes.
I really had to have that. In fact, one of my friends was like, she messaged me and she's like, why do I have a feeling you're in bed with your gray bathrobe on? And I sent her a selfie. I was like, because I am.
Because I am.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that was one other thing for me too that really helped is my closest friends just like let me be and had no expectations. I never stopped getting invited to things, but nobody, you know, was like, but also nobody expected me to show up.
Right.
Which was actually really nice. I know that sounds silly, but that was important too.
Yeah.
Nobody got mad at me. You know, nobody was annoyed that I bailed on things.
I think that's really important. They knew where you were at. And so they were still checking in on you and still like making you feel welcome.
Yep.
But also knowing you were taking care of yourself.
Yep. Yeah.
So the process was slower. It was day to day, pulling yourself out. Can you look back now and see like how far you've come in the last couple of years?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yes, because it's just simply because I really, when you're in it, you just really truly feel like it's always going to be this way. You're just going to always be sad. Yeah. You just don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Right. You really don't. Even though maybe your rational brain knows it's not always going to be this way, you don't feel it.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard for me to talk about it without getting emotional, but
yeah. It's still in your body. It's still a feeling. Yeah. So as you've moved through this, how have you changed?
That's a good question. Really, I think Lauren Kochian is ultimately just is the same, right? My heart, my soul is still the same. I'm still empathic. I'm still loving, but yet I still have this sort of Sicilian edge to me. I still, so I'm still pretty Spitfire when it's required. But I do think what's changed is, and this also could probably be a little bit of my age too is factored into this, is I've sort of just like let go a little bit of how things are supposed to be, or wishing things were different, or wanting to like, I just wanted things to always be a certain way, right? Wanted to always control the outcome, or always wanted to be in a relationship.
Yes.
Right?
That's so honest right there.
Yeah. I never wanted to be alone. Never wanted to be alone. Never wanted to admit that what was behind the curtain, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Do you think there was a time period though that you weren't even aware? Like you said, the therapist named it out and you were like, oh, like, so there was an awareness
yeah.
piece with it too. Like you just weren't just ignoring it. You really weren't aware of it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think so. Like I wasn't just a neat freak. Like I had OCD, right? Yeah, for sure. But yes, I think, I'm changed in that, it's changed me, right? Sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm guarded.
Of course you are.
But at the same, it's funny. It's almost like I don't know if these are different things. I'm guarded, but I'm admitting vulnerability at the same time, right? Aren't those different things?
You just gave me goosebumps. You were guarded. You're guarded for safety reasons,
right?
For very, very damn good reasons,
right?
But what you're doing is you're cracking open that guard with the vulnerability.
Right.
So you're exposing parts of yourself now that you've been too afraid,
right,
to expose.
Right.
And so with that, of course, there's emotion that's coming.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. And I think, vulnerable, but right. And I think, I think the other thing too is just looking at my life as a whole differently, right? It isn't going to be necessarily what I pictured, and that's okay.
Right.
Like that's totally okay. I may not even end up living where I thought I might live. I don't know where my kids are going to land, so I may not even be here. I may not have a partner in life. Okay, that's fine. Like and I'm okay with that, right? Whereas these like life changes before, because I wasn't in control. Nope, I wouldn't be, right. I would not be having it. And now, sort of having been through something like this really does sort of, I think other things kind of pale in comparison.
Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
I'm like, okay, I can do this. I got, right.
Yeah. Things that used to cause fear or hesitation. And you're now like, yeah, they're in comparison. They're nothing.
Right.
It's a very big difference. So that was a situation that you lost all control. Like there was very little control. And so now I think our mind creates control to create safety. So this is what my life is going to look like. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to marry. This is what, that's all up here. Like,
right.
We have no control over so much of that. Right.
Right. Yeah, of course.
So it's like, as soon as we give that up a little bit, we're like, but then there can be a lot of fear being like, I actually have no control over some things that are going to happen to me. And I just have to be ready and prepared and know that I can handle them when that time comes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am right there with you, girl. You know that.
I know.
I am right there with you. A work in progress and we all are. We all are a work in progress.
Right. Yep. You don't see it. You don't see it, but everybody absolutely is.
Yeah. And so that's why you sitting here today is such a big deal, because I think there's probably a lot of women, including myself in the community, that have looked at you and just seen your leadership skills and seen how you're able to command a room, and you do this in this very gentle, empathic way, which I admire so much. And then, but there's this realness to you now that's like, and there are parts of myself I'm still working on and demanding better from, and changing and growing and evolving, and that's so human.
Yeah, if I, as you know, it took me a lot to get to this place.
Yes, it did.
Right. Yeah, it did. It's hard. It's really hard to admit to oneself even, let alone to everybody.
Right.
But I think it is so important. And again, not because of stigma for me personally or anything like that. It's admitting vulnerability to oneself or to anybody else. And maybe this is more so for women. I don't know, but having to try to maintain this sort of standard of
A woman.
perfection. And I think especially a career woman or a woman in leadership. But at the same time, it's like, when we finally, when I was finally like, I think I'm ready to do this. I was like, why not? Right? Why not? Because yes, everybody has baggage, and B, right? Maybe this will help somebody else, right?
I have no doubt this is going to help somebody else. No doubt. And Lauren, you're in a leadership field that has a lot of male dominance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you have created that image of yourself for a very good reason. You had to live in that world. You had to perform in that world. You had to achieve in that world. And now it's like you've gotten to a certain place that you're like, oh, I can let my guard down just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I can like take a layer off. I can shed this part of me that I needed that you no longer need.
Right.
And so I have no doubt this is going to help so many women.
I hope so. Yeah. And that's the other thing too. I do feel that way. I feel like, I've almost like, I've earned it. Like I can do this, right?
You can do this.
I can do this. I want to do it. And to your point too, I'm certainly not, I'm not the only one. You think I'm the first, I'm the first person who's been in a relationship that was not right for me, or, come on. So, mine just happened to get a little too crazy, too out of control, but,
and how many women have been in that situation?
Right. Of course. It's
lost in a relationship that spirals and you don't even realize it until you're at the end of it. Right. Like so many women. So all the topics we hit on today, like being a woman in business, being, in relationships that are unhealthy, body image and eating disorders, anxiety, balancing motherhood and being single and healing yourself. Like that's most women out there right now.
Yeah, exactly. Isn't it though?
Yes.
It absolutely is. And it absolutely is. It's, and more. I mean, really, if you think, I was thinking that on the drive here, there's about 8 trillion ways to dissect all of this, how we raise girls, how society also raises girls, how we raise boys. All of it, even, I hate to say all of it, relationships, sex, the societal sort of angles, right down to law, like when you break up, laws, whether it's divorce or separate. It's
the whole process.
It is. It's interesting and it's crazy.
Yeah. And you have no idea until you're thrown into it. No idea. So I
just rattled off like 20 different topics for your next 25 podcasts. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
Done.
I've got like your next 5 seasons.
Appreciate you. Appreciate that so much. But yes.
Yeah.
So today we move the needle.
One day at a time.
One day at a time. Yeah. I'm really grateful for you.
Yeah, back at you. You've gotten me through so much. You really have. I appreciate you.
God,
very
and here
much.
I'm out here thinking I'm just like, yeah. We all have our own images of ourselves, right? Where I'm like healing loudly and out here. And there are days where I'm like, is anybody else going through something? You know, we all have our doubts. We all have our feelings. We all have our wounds. We all, you know, so if we can normalize it a little bit more.
Absolutely. Yep.
I feel like we're doing something. So
yep. It takes a village. Apparently, it takes a village to get through a bad breakup.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It does.
Yeah.
All right. So, is there anything we didn't touch on?
You know what? No, I think we covered a lot.
We went from the most to like healing our early generational
Toxicity.
trauma.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes, that too.
We went full
That
Ganty
too.
with this episode. So support the most, guys. I was just there a few weeks ago, and I bring my kids whenever I get the chance. So please, please, please support the most.
I appreciate that.
Yes, absolutely. I will tag all the information below, and I am cheering you on in every way.
Thanks. Right back at you. You're doing incredible work, and we all appreciate you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Until next time, guys. And we are out.